2.
Paul Hawksby and Charlie Baker here on talkSPORT. Anton Ferdinand with us to talk football in the final hour of the show. And we'll have a birthday spread for you as well. We're going to talk a bit of Newcastle.
Oh, yeah.
Now. And they're in action tonight against Everton. We'll touch on that shortly. But it's all about St James's Park and plans to expand it and increase the capacity. I've been there as a Tottenham fan, and we had a similar thing that Newcastle fans are getting now, a kind of consultation, a sort of fan survey of what would be their ideal. I think most fans' ideal is to kind of roughly stay where they are and try and redevelop the ground.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Tottenham kind of did. They knocked it down and sort of built it, 50 yards away, which is the best case scenario, really. Course. But joining us now, because they've had some interesting ideas, are the Newcastle fans at Magpie 24/7. Paul Rutter joins us. Hi, Paul.
Right, pleased to be here.
Good to talk to you. We'll come on to your cunning plan, which I saw you writing about on the website. But before that, it's interesting. Eddie Howe has talked about what he'd prefer. And he said, my idea would be to stay at St James's Park. The stadium is iconic, nothing else like it. The heartbeat of the city, the thing you can see more than any other. I would imagine 99.9% of Newcastle fans will just want to stay there and redevelop and do what maybe clubs like Liverpool done if it's possible, and just tweak it, stay where you are and get as much done as you can over a period of time.
Yeah, totally. I would echo those sentiments totally. I'm somebody who's been for many, many years. I'm a season ticket holder. I'm from the area, but I live away now. So it's a 2-hour journey up there. It's a 2-hour journey back after every home game, as long as the traffic goes well. And, getting into the outskirts of the city, no matter where you're from, no matter what route that you come into, to see that iconic stadium, to see it, it's absolutely spectacular. I love it like it's a family member, and I could not think about any sort of situation that doesn't involve Newcastle United playing football long term at St James's Park. So, I'm delighted the club is talking to the fans, but I am hoping that ultimately we're not sort of tempted down the lane, like what West Ham has done, like what Spurs have done, and go to the new stadium, because, like I said, the lovely stadiums, they're great. I'm heading to Goodison Park at the moment, a more older school one, but you cannot replace the memories, the sights, the sounds, its location and everything else. You cannot replace that. It's great when you go to Spurs and you get a pint, and it's one of those nice fancy, pints that fill from the bottom up and all the bells and whistles. But it's not St James's Park. It would never be St James's Park. So I think it's, from my perspective, and I know Kyle, who we run the page together, that we want to stay at our spiritual home. There's nowhere else, but it is going to be a tricky
because you would have to move out, wouldn't you? You're looking at 2 stands, reconstructing those, maybe a demolition of stands to do that. It's going to be harder. Maybe some other clubs have been able to build on what they've got at different times, but for the sort of numbers you're talking about, that's going to be difficult. So you would move out. I did like this idea that you guys came up with of buying that that kind of containers stadium that we saw. That was the kind of the sort of flat pack football stadium, and so maybe putting on a little bit of land somewhere, not a million miles away from the centre of Newcastle, and just buying that in for a couple of years while they redevelop the ground.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, obviously we extended the stadium last time, but there was space to be able to do that, in the same sort of way that obviously the work down at Anfield's gone. However, this time, because of obviously the listed buildings and stuff behind the Gallagher to the side of the East Stand, and obviously the difficulties and stuff, it would mean probably knocking both stands down and totally rebuilding. But like I say, we haven't got the situation where we can make use of Wembley, for so long. We haven't got that. So it was very much sort of trying to think a little bit outside the box to get around the problems, so that we can stay at St James's, because clearly building a brand new stadium on a new site would be the most easiest and probably most cost effective way to go under it. But I can't imagine Newcastle United playing in red and white stripes, and I can't imagine Newcastle United playing away from St James's Park. It's as simple as that. It's an absolute must that we stay there. So it was more to try and find a way around that we could still continue long term to be at St James's Park, but build something that is environmentally okay. You can get it built in a relatively easily, amount of time. It's not going to cost too much, and perhaps after the couple of years that we would be away, we could repurpose it for the women's team or for the youth teams and stuff like that. So. Yeah,
it's an interesting.
I suppose what the opposite argument is, Arsenal fans. I'm assuming at the Emirates. I'm assuming this is what you'll be doing at the whatever your stadium's going to be called eventually, Paul. Is that you make new memories. You make new memories in the new place, and that's what it's all about. The team stays the same. Yeah. The club stays the same. The stadium is a temporary home.
You're against the new stadium, Paul. You wouldn't like a completely new stadium on exactly the same site, which is effectively what Spurs did. You're against that. You just want to redevelop what you've got.
Literally redevelop the stands that we've got, the stadium that we've got. I understand, commercially, because of the decade plus years of Mike Ashley, we are a million miles behind commercially, and the new owners are playing catch up, and I commend them for that and everything that they're doing. And I understand that that they've made changes and put extra corporate boxes in and everything else, but to get to where we need to be, to close that gap on the likes of your Liverpools and everybody else up there, your Manchester Cities, to try and bridge that gap commercially, they are going to have to change things. Things can't stay the same as they've always been, no doubt about it.
That ground share, the ground share with Sunderland, you're not keen for that?
No. I heard them comments earlier on, and I put that deliberately in the article, the post that I put up. That the solution was not to be found down the A19. For those in the North East will understand that. No way. I mean, I'd literally rather just have a kick about in any local field than share stadium with Sunderland. But the other alternative, Kingston Park. We've got the Gateshead Stadium as well. And again, with the idea of transporting the Stadium 974, something very similar to it, over to Tyneside, again, that could be used not only for the women and the youth teams, but again to Gateshead, who haven't got the best of stadiums. And also, Kingston Park with the rugby side of it. So it could have a future longer term as well. But I think, St James's Park all the way.
Well, look, it sounds interesting stuff, Paul. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy the game tonight. Safe journey. Thanks very much.
Yeah, on my way, 3 points.
Very confident.
Magpie
24/7's Paul Rutter there with some of the...
very nice.
Some of the things that they would love to do to redevelop St James's Park.
I've no idea how that'll play out, Paul. I don't know if there's a big bit of land like in Everton. They've got the new Everton Stadium down by the docks there.
You don't want to move. Whatever you do, whether you rebuild a new stadium, you've got this prime land. It's fantastic. It's a brilliant place for a stadium.
And you're just up the road a bit, though.
Not far, but just up the road. The centre spot's in one of the bars where the old centre spot used to be. So it's we didn't move very far. No. It still feels like you're going to the same. You still make the same journey.
Not the bowling, is it?
As I will be tonight. That's been a blow for them. But you're right. They've kind of made it their own. They've had some big nights. At
Takes
West Ham.
some time, doesn't it?
We'll talk to Anton about that later on. He's going to pop in. Anton Ferdinand with us a bit later on.